We are probably minutes, maybe an hour or so away from forecastable, very severe storms here in the DFW Metroplex. And so I got all my emergency stuff pretty prepared. I'm kind of ready to rock and roll, and I kind of got everything together how I wanted to. You're gonna call me two watch McGee, which is very rare for me, but I got my analog watch on because I like the way it looks, and I'm wearing a smartwatch because I want like very fast, accurate weather updates. Crazy thing is that I've charged up all my power stations to 100%. I have got my blackout kits ready. I have made sure that we got full gas and all the other type of crap. Always having to do prep type stuff. And, the world does not stop because we have a lot going on in the Middle East in regards to the closing in the Strait of Hormuz and us needing some of the stuff that's over there coming through that area. I know it's a crisis for us. It's a very important thing for us right now if we could have some of our materials, if we could have some of our stuff, it would be fantastic. We're seeing a lot of different reports coming over that things are looking up, but maybe they're not at the same time. Earlier today, the president said that Iran is in the state of collapse, adding that Iran is begging the U.S. to open the Hormuz Strait as soon as possible. Interesting, because there's a blockade going on down there by our naval units. And so seemingly we are doing a little bit of like economic warfare versus the Iranians in an effort or hopes that we're able to bring them to their knees to the point that they would be willing to come to the negotiating table for what the hell we want them to come to the negotiating table for, not necessarily what they want to. But there's also still very few vessels going nearby. And it made me feel really good to see that news of the possibility of them hypothetically being brought to their knees. Although anything that we get from the administration, we got to take with a grain of salt because, we want to make sure it's true before we just automatically assume it's the thing that we should go with immediately. But then I also saw a report earlier today that says the United Arab Emirates on Tuesday said that it will equip OPEC and OPEC Plus, dealing a heavy blow to the oil exporting groups and their de facto leader, Saudi Arabia. Now, this is another good thing when it comes to us, okay? Because in the past, President Trump, and I would agree with this, has said that OPEC does seem to sometimes just like inflate or keep oil prices high. And we're not particularly always known exactly if it's a fair thing that they do. Like they do it, and we're kind of like, well, why do they have the power to keep oil prices at a certain amount? And if UAE is leaving OPEC, and that leaves just some of the other Gulf states around that area, then it does bring me to a good feeling that we might actually, of course, guys, I'm pumping out some coffee. I want a little bit of evening coffee to keep myself up and going for this possible storm. That maybe we get a good control over pricing in the future. Maybe we get a good control over not being at will of just a few states in the Middle East for worldwide pricing of a commodity that we need a ton. That made me feel really good as well, that could possibly be a thing that we could 100% not have to worry about. But then the story hit even after that, which says that today the U.S. hit the highest level in 4 years for gas prices. Now, this is anecdotal, what I'm going to tell you, but just the other week, gas dropped like 30 cents near me. It dropped to like $3.29 a gallon. I was like, wow, that's fantastic. It to a certain point, it had been rising. And every time I go put gas in my truck or Mrs. X's car, it's like a whole, just like something that really stresses me out. And I saw it going down and I was like, okay, maybe I can just pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe the naval blockade's working. Maybe we're getting oil from somewhere. I don't know what the hell was going on in the world, but I thought things were looking up. Okay. And I go today, I'm driving around and I see that fuel near me is $3.99, the highest I've ever seen it. And since I've been living in Texas, I can't remember it being over $4. When I lived in North Carolina, I do remember it being over $4, but it now is $4.18 a gallon nationwide for the average. And it's just crazy high prices for people that concern themselves with oil, which is like almost everybody. Even if you don't drive a vehicle that needs oil, i.e. an electric vehicle, you still use stuff in your life that is petroleum based. The tires on your car made with petroleum, and that petroleum probably came from the Gulf region. Any rubber products you may use around your house, or helium you may use for your birthday parties, or fertilizers that your landscapers may use to take care of your house, or farmers in America use, all that stuff is being affected right now. We're seeing a crazy surge in bankruptcies being reported by farmers across America. The highest has been in years, with tons of farmers doing Chapter 12 and Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And I'm very concerned that people are going to lose the forest for the trees. This has been going on for almost, let's see, April 28th. So that's March 28th and April 28th would make 2 months of this. This started February 28th. And I really don't want to just it become a new normal that this is just what we're going to be used to. I still worry about our brethren that's in the that are overseas, still fighting every day and doing different things that they're being ordered to do. And they're just following orders, right? The type of stuff that I'm always thinking about. Is this move, this naval blockade going to be the catalyst that brings the Iranians to their knees? I still argue to say it won't be that solely. It is argued to say that the Iranians have about an additional 10 to 12 days of storage left for them to take the oil that's coming out of the ground and store it somewhere, because they're unable to get as much of it out of the Gulf as they're used to. So they're having to store it in land containers. They're having to store it in broken down vessels. So imagine a container ship that no longer is seaworthy, but it still has its capacity to store shit. They're putting oil in those things as well. It's estimated that 10 to 12 days before they have to possibly cap some of their oil facilities, which could serve irreparable harm to the Iranians. If that were to happen, I still don't know if they would come to the negotiating table, because the regime is about survival. I don't think they give a fuck if they're no longer able to make money via oil. Also, the export of oil from the Gulf is about 25% of their GDP. Other 75% happens all over the place. The Caspian Sea, by rail. They also have other things they export and import through Pakistan, and coming from the north, from Russia, and also from Iraq. So they still have trade going on. They still getting medical supplies. They're still getting things into the country. People aren't, at least not from the reporting we're seeing, dying of starvation. So it just seems that the thing that makes them prosperous, the prosperity of the country, which is oil, is the thing that's being affected. How long can they go with that being that way? Seems like a long time. And I don't know if this naval blockade is going to be the one that brings them to their knees. It is very good news that it is a possibility that we're getting some good reporting, even though that, you know what I'm saying, the Iranians told us to go ahead and F ourselves last week on the negotiations. And they didn't stick around to do any negotiations with the Americans that were supposed to go to Pakistan. It's looking like a good thing to hear that this naval blockade may be effective. I still would just hope that we would just pull chalks. You know, there are some intelligence analysts to see how it would affect our U.S. intelligence if the president would just unilaterally pull out of the Middle East and declare victory. How would that affect our intelligence? I quite frankly don't give a fuck. Okay, I would rather go ahead, take that L, say that, you know, we pulled out and we didn't achieve our objectives and my pockets start getting right again. Okay, I would much rather that be the case. Okay, I just wanted to come in and give you guys an update, kind of tell you that it looks like the world order is shifting a little bit, with OPEC being changed up a little bit. Maybe the Iranians are going to be closer to coming to the table, and maybe I might be able to get some things down for the prices that I want them to be. I don't know. I guess we'll see. First time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.